What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. So SCP-049, this is the SCP I'm going to be going through in today's video. What I'm going to do is I'm going to watch two separate videos on this. The first one's going to be from the rubber and the second one is the exploring series, I think. So that's what I'm going to do. Last Wednesday I watched the mini movie on 096, which was really good. And I mentioned at the back end of that video, I will be diving into the SCP universe and going through some more SCPs on the channel going forward. So this is the first one. What I'm also going to do at the end of this video, I'm going to randomly pick an SCP on the SCP wiki page to go through next week. So stick around to the end if you want to find out who that is going to be, or should I say, what that is going to be. So yeah, SCP-049, let's go.
SCP-049 has expressed frustration or remorse after these killings, indicating that they have done little to kill the pestilence, though will usually seek to then perform a crude surgery on the corpse. These surgeries are often result in the creation of instances of SCP-0492. So this so-called plague doctor, how many was it really kills? And how terrifying will it be? Hello everybody, I'm the Rubber. Today, we bring you a SCP Foundation Euclid class object, SCP-049. In SCP Foundation, which SCP is your favorite? Let us know in the comment below. SCP-049 is a humanoid entity, roughly 1.9 meters in height, weight 95.3 kilograms, which bears the appearance of a medieval plague doctor. While it appears to be wearing the thick robes and the ceramic mask indicative of that profession, the garments instead seem to have grown out of its body over time, and are now nearly indistinguishable from whatever form is beneath them. X-rays indicate that despite this, 049 does have a humanoid skeletal structure beneath its outer layer. While SCP-049 is generally cordial and cooperative with Foundation staff, it can become especially irritated or, at times, outright aggressive if it feels that it is in the presence of what it calls the pestilence. 049 will become hostile with individuals it sees as being affected by the pestilence. If left unchecked, it will generally attempt to kill any such individual. It is capable of causing all biological functions of an organism to cease through direct skin contact. How this occurs is currently unknown. There was one record shows 049 quickly closed the distance between the subject, killing the subject with a touch of its throat. 049 has expressed frustration or remorse after these killings, indicating that they have done little to kill the pestilence, though will usually seek to then perform a crude surgery on the corpse using the implements contained within a black doctor's bag it carries on its person at all times. While these surgeries are not always successful, they often result in the creation of instances of 0492. 0492 instances are reanimated corpses that have been operated on by 049. These instances do not seem to retain any of their prior memories or mental functions, having only basic motor skills and response mechanisms. While these instances are generally inactive, moving very little, and in a generally ambulatory fashion, they can become extremely aggressive if provoked, or if directed to by 049. Despite these alterations, 049 often remarks that the subjects have been cured. SCP-049 was discovered during the investigation of a series of unknown disappearances in the town of Montauban in southern France. During a raid on a local home, investigators found several instances of 0492 as well as 049. While law enforcement personnel engaged the hostile 0492 instances, it was noted as watching the engagement and taking notes in its journal. After all of the 0492 instances were dispatched, 049 willingly entered Foundation custody. 049 has spent a considerable amount of time studying and performing surgery on the various mammalian corpses it has been provided. It will routinely spend several days performing surgery, and then, regardless of whether or not the corpse becomes an instance of 0492, spending several more days documenting its findings in a thick leather journal stored within its doctor's bag. It will often seek to share its findings with members of Foundation staff. According to one record, 049 spent several days operating on the orangutan, reanimating it several times. However, 049 appeared to be discontent with the results it experienced, returning to the creature 3 times after its initial reanimation for additional work. After it was unable to reanimate the corpse a 5th time, 049 turned the corpse over to Foundation staff for incineration. As time goes
There we
by,
go.
on April 16,
Incinerated.
2017, as Dr. Raymond Ham was entering SCP-049's test chamber to conduct another routine interview, the entity began to grow anxious and asked Dr. Ham if he was feeling well. Following protocol, Dr. Ham reminded 049 that the interview was required, after which the entity became hostile and attacked Dr. Ham, killing him. Due to a lapse in security protocol and because Dr. Ham did not activate the in-chamber emergency system, Dr. Ham's corpse was not discovered until 3 hours later, by which point 049 had converted it into an instance of 0492. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Have you ever heard or encountered any paranormal event? Let us know in the comment below. We will draw your story and share it with the world. Don't forget to click like, subscribe to this channel, and hit the bell. Please share it to your...
Okay, so that was good. So what I'm getting from that is, this is kind of like a brief introduction to 049. But that was good. Now I've got an idea of what it's all about. So before I jump into the exploring series, my initial thoughts are, basically it's Dr. Frankenstein, isn't it? It's Dr. Frankenstein, and he makes these monsters, which are Frankenstein's monsters. And also in one of the more up-to-date Frankenstein movies, they actually reanimate a monkey as well, don't they? So very similar. In here it's an orangutan, but I'm sure in that movie they reanimate a monkey. So it's kind of similar theme, a similar idea as well. And also the doctor, the plague doctor, or the doctor of death. I'm sure they were from the Black Plague. And I think they came around to, I think they were to do with the Black Plague. Maybe I'm wrong on that one, but I think that's kind of the origin of that look. Anyways, let's move on to the second one, which is the exploring series on 049. Let's go.
SCP-049.
Wait, that's grim.
Plague Doctor.
You see, that makes it even more creepy, doesn't it? Because in the previous one, in the Rubbers version, it mentioned that its body was almost attached to what it's wearing. What makes this creepy as it gets is you can see his eyes behind it, and it looks like a mask. Ooh, okay.
The Great Plague was one of the most devastating pandemics in human history, killing tens of millions of people in the Eastern Hemisphere and reshaping history in the process.
Black Plague, wasn't it? I think.
Cities affected by the plague would often hire plague doctors to come in and treat as many people as possible.
I won't mind, but the doctors look as scary as it gets. I mean, like, you imagine a kid, you're ill, and that doctor looking like that comes in. Nah, I'm not ill. Nah, I'm okay. I'm not ill.
These doctors would often be inexperienced and lack professional training, and would rarely cure anyone, but merely record how many people were affected by the plague. In the 1600s, plague doctors began wearing special outfits, consisting of an overcoat, a mask, and a long beaked nose.
Why? What's
the
with that
nose
one?
portion would contain herbs, spices, and flowers.
There we go.
Which the doctors believe would prevent the sickness from entering their bodies.
There you go. Okay.
This basic summary should provide the necessary background info for SCP-049, a highly anomalous plague doctor. While it shares some similarities with the historical plague doctor, the differences make it one of the most intriguing of the SCPs.
Here we go.
An investigation into a string of disappearances in a French town led authorities to a local home, where they discovered a man dressed as a plague doctor, along with a number of hostile, reanimated corpses. The police terminated the hostiles, while the plague doctor watched and took notes in his journal.
That's mad.
Afterwards, the Foundation became notified and took the entity into containment. The entity, designated SCP-049, claims to have originated in 15th century France, and speaks a number of languages, notably medieval French and English. The Foundation discovered that, although it possesses a humanoid skeletal structure, the Plague Doctor outfit is actually part of its physiology, apparently having grown out of its body, including the robes, gloves, and mask. Interestingly, SCP-049's mask is not the same as the traditional Plague Doctor mask, but is instead reminiscent of a Zani mask from Italian theater. SCP-049 is generally cordial and respectful to Foundation personnel, originally appreciative to be amongst fellow doctors.
Until
it soon becomes quite clear that 049 is obsessed with discovering a cure for the so-called pestilence. also referred to as the Scourge and the Great Dying. When asked if it means the bubonic plague, it remarks that it doesn't know what that is.
It's like it's for different,
049's
like,
most
reality.
anomalous trait
Different,
is that its physical touch causes instant termination of biological functions
that's crazy.
in any living organism.
That's crazy.
This is especially dangerous due to 049's behavior when it believes it detects the presence of the pestilence. When it believes an organism to be infected, 049 will kill it with a touch, and then proceed to experiment on the corpse. Using an anomalously expansive doctor's bag that's always found on its person, 049 will perform a variety of crude surgical procedures, including rearranging organs and appendages, and introducing strange fluids to the body. While not always successful, most of the time these procedures will cause the corpse to reanimate.
That's crazy.
The reanimated corpses seem to retain none of their prior memories or mental faculties, and possess only basic motor functions.
Wait, look at that. Zombies, innit, basically.
These entities are generally very passive if left undisturbed, but can retaliate if provoked, or if 049 directs them to attack something, becoming exceptionally aggressive. 049 will write down all of the results in its journal in an unknown language, commenting that they are now cured, although their biological functions are vastly different than what our science currently understands. Sometimes, 049 will experiment multiple times on the same corpse, reanimating it more than once. It continues to ask for more subjects to experiment on, especially humans, as it believes it continually grows closer to a perfect cure. So, what is the pestilence?
Yeah.
While it's never explicitly explained in the article, there are implications and theories. We can likely rule out any sort of biological contagion or infection, at least as far as we understand it, as 049 claims that the pestilence is the only ailment that exists in the world of men. One of the popular theories is that the pestilence is death, or mortality, as it would be a problem that affects practically every living creature.
Why does he pick some
Although
people
the biological
and not
functions
others?
of the reanimated corpses aren't very well understood by the Foundation, it's possible that they are biologically immortal, effectively cured of death.
Right.
Unfortunately, there are a number of holes in this theory based on 049's words. When first discussing the plague, he tells the doctor to think beyond amateur terms like life and death, and to expand his horizons. Later, when discussing one of the reanimated corpses, he explains that the creature is now clean and is unable to spread the pestilence.
What?
Overall, 049 seems to throw around the term death fairly loosely, for him to not just say that's what the pestilence is.
Alright.
Another theory is that the pestilence is instead aging, which does fit slightly better.
That's what I was going to say.
Although it perhaps makes even less sense when considering the idea of spreading the pestilence. Yet another theory relates the pestilence to SCP-2718, a terrifying cognitohazard that causes those who believe it to experience an everlasting torture upon death. Elimination of this disease would certainly be a noble effort, but it's one of the most highly classified SCPs known to the Foundation,
that sounds
with even
mad.
the O5 Council not aware of it. It's pretty unlikely then so many individuals would be affected by it, including the head doctor studying 049, whom 049 suddenly decided was infected with it.
Yeah.
Other theories include human emotion, but testing on animals wouldn't make much sense then. Entities being on the verge of death, which 049 can detect somehow, or something else mimetic or not properly understood. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter what the pestilence is, and it's just as likely that 049 is simply delusional. As 049 continues to become one of the most popular articles on the SCP Wiki, theories and discussions will likely continue to crop up. Really, what separates 049 from many other dangerous humanoid anomalies is its personality. rather than being some monstrous, inexplicable entity that wishes for death and destruction.
1 minute's good, next minute he wants to kill you.
049 is generally sociable and eloquent.
Oh, 1 minute's normal.
For the most part, seems to genuinely want to help humanity.
Yeah.
Although he did end up killing the main doctor involved in studying him, he is regretful that the pestilence apparently took hold in him, and was glad to be able to cure him of it.
You kill him, okay.
Perhaps the pestilence is very real, and 049 is one of our best hopes of defeating it. Perhaps 049 is like many of the plague doctors of old, little more than charlatans.
Exactly.
It does seem clear, though, that whatever 049 thinks the pestilence is, it believes that it is the cure.
These are amateur terms for amateur physicians. There is only one ailment that exists in the world of men, and that is the pestilence, and nothing else. Make no mistake, they were very ill, all of them. You think you cured those people? Indeed, my cure is most effective. This is the thing though, like, what is it curing? Is that the end of it? Because, okay, that dialogue at the end is pretty interesting as well. So, a few interesting things there. The first one is the fact of how he kills someone. He can, once he touches someone, they instantly die. Never had someone, anything that's living, animals as well, boom, they're dead. That's crazy. That's the first thing. Also, he's what I'm going to call delusion, that he thinks everyone has this ailment, which he called the pestilence. There's nothing else, it's just the pestilence. And once he does his reanimation, he's basically cured them. But they're not the same people, they can't think, they're basically zombies out there. I wonder how long they live, because maybe he's cured them of death, but at a cost of that, everything else has been taken from them. But anyway, that was really good. SCP-049. Hopefully you enjoyed my thoughts and reactions to both videos as well. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to pick a random SCP on the wiki page. Let's go. Right, so this is the SCP Foundation wiki page. We have, I think, almost 6,000 SCPs. So the first decision is which series I want to go for. Random, let's go for series 3. Because, yeah. So series 3 is 2000 to 2000. Oh, okay. Okay, it's that organized. So, let's pick a number. 2029. Let's go for that. 2029, an egg in a jar. That is what I'm going to be reacting to next. I'm going to look up a little bit about it in terms of material. Obviously, if there isn't too much material, I'll react to something else in terms of what people have recommended, but I'm also going to have a look at an egg in a jar. As a minimum, I'm going to be reading through the information on the wiki page as well. So yeah, I think I'll leave it here today, guys, on this one. Once again, hopefully you enjoyed my thoughts and reactions to both of the videos on SCP-049. And if you did, feel free to let me know. Feel free to like, comment, and maybe also subscribe for more content like this. Sometime next week, I will be reacting to SCP-2029, an egg in a jar. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next one.